And this story is for my grandma. Clank, 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 clank. What in the world could be in here? My dad had just handed me this little tin box for Christmas. And knowing my dad's financial situation, I just assume it's going to be like some trinket from the dollar store. So I flippantly pop open the lid and I look down inside. And then I look back up at my dad, my eyes as big as saucers. And he just smiles at me and says, "Merry Christmas. Those belonged to your grandma." What he's referring to are these 3 diamond rings that are laying all haphazardly, all willy-nilly in the bottom of this tin. And I just instantly start to cry. I'm crying for 2 reasons. The first is that my grandma was one of my favorite human beings in the entire universe. Here she comes, Miss America. She would sing every time I walked into the room.
Wow.
Yes, my earliest memory of this is when I'm about 5 years old and I had slipped on some of her high-heeled shoes and I am dancing and I am prancing around the living room to Here She Comes, Miss America. And with that simple song, I felt beautiful. I felt special. I felt seen and I felt loved. I didn't have very many years with my grandma, unfortunately. She died when I was just 16 years old of ovarian cancer. And now here I stand on Christmas Day, 25 years later, looking down at these beautiful diamond rings that I could still vividly picture on her fingers every time she elegantly lifted up her cigarette to her lips. My hands are shaking as I slide one of the rings out of the tin and onto my finger. And I start crying a little bit harder when I realize that this ring fits me perfectly.
Wow.
Almost as if my grandma wanted me to have her rings. The second reason why I'm crying is because my dad had held onto these rings for over 2 decades without telling anybody that he had them. And given some questionable choices that my dad had made throughout his life, he didn't have much to his name. As a matter of fact, I saw him going from living in a nice house to living in a low-income senior center. I saw him go from driving a car to using and taking public transportation. And I saw him go from having a beautiful set of white teeth to having none at all. This man, my father, could have made another very questionable decision and taken those rings to a pawn shop to get money to buy things for himself. But he didn't. He chose to hold on to them and give them to me, his only daughter, Miss America. Now, time has gone by, as time tends to do, and I have 2 grown children of my own. And my hope, my goal, is that every time my kids walk into the room, that they feel the exact same way that my grandma made me feel. Beautiful, special, seen, and absolutely loved. Thank you.
Wow.